So why does this matter? These questions of memos, dossiers, intelligence from spies can get pretty complicated pretty quickly. So what is the bigger picture here? Niall Stanage, the associate editor at The Hill, joins me now live from Washington, D.C. Just put this, Niall, if you can, into some sort of context for us. How big does this feel?
This is a huge story here in Washington and across the US, Emily. I think myself this is probably the biggest crisis we've seen since President Trump fired James Comey, the then FBI director, last year. This really is something that puts the Trump White House and the FBI in a state of virtual war with one another and raises a whole lot of other questions about the independence of the law enforcement system from the presidency.
So when you talk about a state of virtual war, where does this put the Mueller investigation now? Further or closer to Trump?
Well, it's fascinating that this has happened at a time when Mueller has been talking about interviewing Trump. We'll have to see if the White House uses this as a predicate to avoid that kind of an interview. But I think that this raises questions, at least in Trump skeptics' minds, about obstruction of justice, which is already what Robert Mueller is looking into. So in that sense, it doesn't really help the president in the broader picture.
Did the Democrats then get something fundamentally wrong here? Are they recognising that fairly serious errors were made that have played right into Trump's understanding of that narrative?
Well, it's debatable. I mean, there were certainly errors that have been seized upon by Republicans and by people, frankly, in the media who are friendly to Trump. Democrats, though, are pushing back very hard at this memo. They want to release their own counter memo rebutting these points. They say that the Republican version doesn't tell the full story. And I think broadly, Emily, there's this broader idea that there are kind of many Trump-friendly hands all sort of pumping at a bellows to try to create or cast doubt on Mueller. And that's certainly a point that Democrats are making vigorously.
And what are the Republicans around Trump thinking or saying to you tonight?
Well, some of them, of course, are very sort of impressed by what they believe they have put out, but others are less so. Even a Republican source that I was talking to was speaking fearfully about the idea that the president would use this as what this source termed a blunt force instrument to go right at Mueller. If that were to happen, I think we would be into the territory of constitutional crisis here.
Niall, thank you very much indeed. Niall Stanage there in DC.